Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
OECS health ministers discussing solutions to problems faced by the health systems. Details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Friday, October 19th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. If we want to tackle the challenges faced by healthcare systems in the OECS, we must create policies that will enhance and transform the health sectors. That advice from Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele, outgoing chairperson of the OECS Council of Health Ministers. He was addressing the start of the OECS Pharmaceutical Procurement Services, or the OECS PPS Policy Board meeting at the Radisson Beach Convention Center this week. Accessibility and affordability of universal health care and unification of health policies are high on the agenda. Minister Steele says they agreed on a plan of action on health during a meeting in Martinique earlier this year, which speaks to resource sharing and developing common approaches to the health sector in the OECS.
As we look at the issue of equity and access, it has become clearer that in order to have equity in access, we must have universal access to healthcare. And in order to have universal access to healthcare and ensure that no one is left behind, our health systems do not just need to improve, they need to be transformed. We have to think differently. We cannot keep doing what we have been doing for the last 50 years. Times have changed.
Health Minister of Montserrat and incoming chairperson for the Ministers of Health of the OECS, Honorable Delmont Ryan, explained that as the Caribbean transforms its healthcare system to universal standard, it must be mindful of the culture that surrounds our Caribbean people.
This is not a job just for the Ministry of Health. By involving multiple stakeholders, we are more likely to come up with innovative, effective, and people-centered solutions to our health problems. Solutions that are people and primary care centered. Solutions that engage our communities and families. And solutions that embrace smart infrastructure and leapfrog technology. So as we prepare to go into these meetings of the 32nd OECS PPS Policy Board and the 5th Council of Health Ministers meeting, I ask that we remember the commitments made in the Fort-de-France Declaration on Solidarity in Health, and that we find common approaches to contribute to an OECS-wide transformation for universal access.
She says the challenges in the healthcare sector are being addressed by the Pharmaceutical Procurement Services Policy Board to assist in curbing the problems.
Even as we address the challenges within the health sector, we must involve more than just the government or the public service. Health must be visible. We therefore must engage everyone, families, communities, NGOs, and the private sector. All can contribute to extending access. This is not a job just for the Ministry of Health. By involving multiple stakeholders, we are more likely to come up with innovative, effective, and people-centered solutions to our health problems.
The process has begun to bring the Maribor Abattoir in line with HACCP standards. Staff at the facility participated in a one-day training session in food safety on Friday in accordance with Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Program Standards, HACCP. The training is in response to the recommendations made following a recent visit to the facility by an agriculture health specialist. ECA specialist Derek Charles says the session is a prerequisite to getting the facility to HACCP standards so as to ensure food and occupational safety and also to strengthen the capacity of butchers and staff.
It is a prerequisite to get in there. And the objective of the training is to strengthen the capacity of the staff and the butchers in food safety activities as a prerequisite to HACCP. And the outcome is that you will have a better understanding of the hazard in this abattoir and the mitigating factors or measures you take to mitigate such hazard.
Facilitator and Quality Assurance Manager at the Marketing and National Importing Board, Kenlyn Edwards, says the seminar placed specific emphasis on ensuring food safety through the entire process. He says focus will also be placed on good manufacturing practices and sanitation.
How to bring forward food safety throughout the entire process, from the time the animal leaves the field to the time it gets to the consumer. So throughout the process floor, I'll be showing where the hazards are, the potential hazards, and what control measures can be put in place. So it will be a practical exercise. I'm just showing them how to go about to do the process to ensure food safety. So HACCP is a very broad-based subject matter, but today I will condense it down in about 20 slides just to show them what the basics are.
More than 10 abattoir staff members and butchers were present at the training, which was organized by the Ministry of Agriculture and ECA. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then started the story here, babe. Crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. Attorney at law Rogers Ferguson says casting a yes vote on referendum day November 6th for the CCJ as Grenada's final court of appeal will ensure that people have access to an appeal court at an affordable cost. He was speaking at a public meeting in Calais this week. Ferguson says while many believe it is costing the government extra money to accede to the CCJ, Grenada has already paid to join the court, but has not been utilizing it. He also explained that the court sits in 2 jurisdictions and that at present Grenada can only access one part of the court.
You have an original jurisdiction of the court and you have an appellate jurisdiction of the court. There is one court, one physical building, one set of administrative staff, one set of technology, the same courtroom, and the same judges. But they sit in different jurisdictions. So, for example, the original jurisdiction means that the court, if there is any matter that falls under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, then the CCJ in its original jurisdiction is the court to determine that dispute. So you don't go to your own local court to determine that issue. You go straight to the CCJ in its original jurisdiction. The revised Treaty of Chaguaramas is the treaty that binds Caribbean countries together, that sets the rules in relation to trade, in relation to CSME. In fact, the revised treaty deals exclusively with CSME. It incorporates CSME, and that's, as we know, free movement of people, of goods, services, capital, etc. So any matter that relates to that and involves an interpretation of the treaty, the CCJ has to sit in its original jurisdiction. You can go straight to that court. And when it's the appellate jurisdiction, it's the final court. It replaces the Privy Council, so you must go through your local courts in order to get to the CCJ. You can't say, well, your local court moving too slow, so I go into the CCJ. No, it's a final appeal court.
The 2018 referendum seeks to have Grenada replace the Privy Council at its final court with the Caribbean Court of Justice and the renaming of the Supreme Court to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The meetings continue throughout the parishes as the advisory committee prepares to host a major forum in St. Mark on October 23rd. At that meeting, former president of the CCJ, Sir Dennis Byron, will be the guest speaker. Sir Byron will continue to assist Grenadians to acquire a better understanding on the operation of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And finally, Ambassador Atala Shabazz, eldest daughter of Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz, celebrated International Day of the Girl Child in her father's homeland, Grenada. Ambassador Shabazz hosted the special viewing of the biographical drama Hidden Figures, a film which recounts the contributions of key African-American female mathematicians working at NASA during the space race era. The viewing took place at the Juluk Cinema in Grenville, St. Andrew on October 11th, attended by the Minister with responsibility for tertiary education, skills development and education outreach, Honorable Pamela Moses. We get more in this report from Annette Moore.
Ambassador Shabazz is an accomplished producer, writer, diplomat, and keynote speaker who has been delivering keynote speeches for more than 40 years throughout the United States, Central America, Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean. Her family has a legacy of investing heavily in human development, human service, and social impact.
On behalf of the Grenada Girl Guides Association Brownies, I present to you this basket of spice.
My grandmother at the time when she left Grenada was about your ages, and so this is really, really quite meaningful. I'm here in Grenada as a granddaughter of Grenada, very proud granddaughter. My grandmother's from Ladi, and her son, her fourth of 9 children, was Malcolm X. So that's what connects me. There are many people whose lives are impacted by the quiet yet ever-effective Grenadians that move about.
The theme for this year's International Day of the Girl Child was With Her, a Skilled Girl Force. According to the UN, this year's celebrations mark the start of a year-long effort to focus on the most pressing needs and opportunities for girls to attain skills for employability. Approximately 280 girls, including those from the organizing body, the Girl Guides Association of Grenada, were able to laugh, cheer, and appreciate the struggles of the 3 African-American women in the film Hidden Figures.
I was inspired by this movie because I felt like if the 3 women had listened to what other people had said and discouraged them, they would not have done this, accomplished so much.
Since its release, the film Hidden Figures has been used as a tool to encourage young girls and women to develop an interest in STEM.
There are 3 special ladies in here, and these 3 special ladies represent 3 million around the world. One of them specifically just passed away, but if the movie wasn't done, we wouldn't have even known she existed. And it's because of her that the United States landed on the moon, right? 50 years ago. That's the small of it. But as an academic, now we call it STEM, but then it included science, technology, engineering, and math, very naturally.
She also hinted at much more to come.
This time next year, when we celebrate the Flavors of Grenada in May, we're going to bring some of the actresses that are in the movie. How many of you have seen Aquila and the Bee? Right? So she's a big girl now, but we're aiming to bring her back here. And also the Queen of Katwe. All of these are real-life stories about young women and girls who, no matter the odds, no matter the shortcoming, no matter who's being bullied, no matter who's being ignored, they stuck to their inner power, and with courage, what they did is something we benefit from today.
Ambassador Shabazz is also introducing a special club dubbed Grenadian Sisterhood for the young ladies present at the event, noting that Flavors of Grenada will be her global Grenadian partners who will support and facilitate her efforts here in Grenada.
I am my grandmother's daughter in many ways, and I promised her I'd come back. One of the quotes that I'll make sure you have later of my father was, if you educate a man, you've educated one person. If you educate a woman, you've educated and liberated a whole nation.
For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
That story just brought the curtains down on the National Report for today, Friday, October 19th, 2018. Let's recap the top story. OECS health ministers discussing solutions to problems faced by the health systems. On behalf of all those who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for viewing. Until next time.
We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. My people, remember, November the 6th, Caribbean Court of Justice is the best choice. Vote yes, the Caribbean Court of Justice. Up, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, man. I say one Caribbean people, so vote yes for our own Caribbean Court of Justice. How you mean? Warm to you, like that. Grenada. Don't stand up, babe. We have to vote for CCJ. Don't stand up, babe. CCJ going all the way. Just look at this, our own Caribbean Court of Justice. Yes, that's good for we. Now we have to spend less money. I take a vote. You take a vote. We take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. He take a vote. She take a vote. They take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. Listen to this. I can't wait for November 6th. We voting yes for the Caribbean Court of Justice. Serious business. Time we come together as one. What? One final court of appeal here in the Caribbean. A vote. You take a vote. We take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. He take a vote. She take a vote. They take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. Yeah, man. I say one Caribbean people, so vote yes for our own Caribbean Court of Justice. How you mean? Warm to you, like that. Grenada. Don't stand up, babe. We have to vote for CCJ. Don't stand up, babe. CCJ going all the way. Just look at this, our own Caribbean Court of Justice. Yes, that's good for we. Now we have to spend less money. I take a vote. You take a vote. We take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. He take a vote. She take a vote. They take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. Listen to this. I can't wait for November 6th. We voting yes for the Caribbean Court of Justice. Serious business. Time we come together as one. What? One final court of appeal here in the Caribbean. A vote. You take a vote. We take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. He take a vote. She take a vote. They take a vote. Vote for Caribbean Justice. How you mean? We are independent people. And if we are independent, then why can't we make an independent?
The Caribbean Court of Justice, reaching one unity, coming together as one. CCJ. Come out and make the right decision. It benefits in everybody. Caribbean Court of Justice is what I come to promote. So when that time reach your stick, make sure you vote and vote believe it. Let us get it right. I say everything has to fix. One Caribbean, one community. CCJ has to have the remedy. For the CCJ, yeah. Come November 6th, every Caribbean island I calling out one and all. For the CCJ, yeah.
Yes, the CCJ. That's the vote yes to the CCJ.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
And I'm Devon Romain.
And it is now 24 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. If you've got to be somewhere for 10:30, you've got a little under 6 minutes to be there. Yeah? A little under 6 minutes. So if you know you're more than 6 minutes, 5 minutes away, yeah, you better start putting together your excuse because you are late. All right? Yes, indeed. And we're saying a special good morning to all the listeners via the various radio stations. 97.5 City Sound FM broadcasting, pulsating out of River Road in St. George. Good morning, GT. Good morning, Karen and entire staff down there. Django. Good morning to you, bro. Good morning to all of you down there at City Sound. We hope that you're having a fabulous morning this morning.
89.5 CRFM out there in Monjelu. Morning, Campeche. And to all the listeners of CRFM.
92.9 on the Sister Isles of Carriacou, broadcasting from beautiful Hillsborough. And I'm going to say good morning to you, Lisa Maria, Linton, Mr. Fraser, yeah, all the entire staff out there. Jack, yeah, I think DJ Jack, that's the guy there. Yeah, man, all of you out there
DJ Jack,
at the Sister Isle FM, broadcasting out of Carriacou to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Yeah, we say a special good morning to you.
Yeah. And 94.9 We Vibes Radio in Brooklyn. Morning to all the New Yorkers and especially the Grenadians listening via 94.9 We Vibes Radio.
Yeah. I think I had to play a tune this morning. I think I had to touch a tune this morning, man. Yeah, I had to touch a tune. I'm going to touch a tune this morning. Yeah.
I came down here for the carnival. Russo music, have me in a trance. Want to play mass, teach me how to dance. Buy a little rock and put it in your pocket. Buy a little flag, that's the way they do it. Find yourself a band and find a good position. When the music blasts, you'll find out how to play mass. When they say rock, pull your rock. When they say rock, pull your rock. When they say flag, pull your flag.
Yes, indeed. He's transitioned to the great beyond this morning.
Wave it.
Yeah, the original Shadow himself, man.
Wave it.
The bassman from hell. Gone to the great beyond this morning, man. Yeah.
As Depot said, the dark one.
The dark one, man.
Yeah.
You never see the Shadow dance yet. That bad dancer. Yeah.
money.
Yeah, he might be gone, but his message remains. You're looking for horn, eh?
You think it's so? You think that's
I want to know one of my tunes I like by him. I kind of like this one.
My good partner lost his lover. He looking for Obia man. He want to get back his lover. He looking for Obia man. He went to San Vivanti. He went up to San Stasi. There he met a old bachan who say he's a Obia man. You have a tabanka. You're looking for Obia. I have the formula to get you the banker. One cookie, one cookie, one cookie, one cookie. You're treating the lady bad. Now she leave you going mad. You come here to look for luck. I know how to do my work. One cookie, one cookie, one cookie, one cookie.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, just had to touch a little bit for the Tobagonian day, man. Yeah. Yeah, to our friend over in Tobago, we know that you're listening, man. Yeah. That's a serious Tobagonian that gone there.
Yes, the powerful, short, stumpy, the dark one.
Yeah. The bass man from hell.
Boom, boom, boom. That is my favorite.
His music always had a sort of bass to it.
That's sort of
always
African,
had a rhythm.
Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah.
I like the bass man. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, you must be respect to the bass man. Yeah, I grew up on him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Grew up on that. Powerful.
All right, folks. The phone number 4407377 4407377
and 347-329-3101.
Yeah. Announcement this morning by the political leader of the NDC, acting, Joseph Andal, that the chairman of the party, Mr. Vincent Roberts, has resigned.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he did admit. I know a lot of persons maybe didn't get that one because it was right to the end of the program, like the last question to be asked before they turn off the camera and the microphones. But yeah, the chairman, I mean, yesterday KB was in and he did mention that. And he did intimate to me that he did get that information from good sources. And the political leader of the NDC confirming that this morning, that Mr. Vincent Roberts resigned.
Wow. News, whether it's good or bad, for them, that's...
Yeah, well, I mean, in your month that you say you're celebrating, in your month... Good morning, cuz, Felix, morning. In your month that you say you're celebrating and that you're talking about unity and so on, people resigning?
Yeah, that casts a shadow of doubt.
I could understand it last month.
Yeah.
I might even be able to understand it next month. But this month, for it to happen this month, there's something more in that mortar than just the pestle.
Yeah.
And we ain't talking about air and ants. It's just something more in that mortar than the pestle.
Yeah, and it's possible you may see some more resignation when you see someone like Vincent Roberts resign as chairman.
He's been holding the fort for the NDC for quite a period of time. He's speaking about online, on television, on radio, and otherwise he's been holding the fort for the NDC.
And what is significant too, though, he was one of the closer, as you say, lieutenant of the former political leader Nazim Burke. He was one of the person that really held, right under Honorable Nazim Burke in terms
so far for the year, the political leader resigned.
Yes.
And now the chairman resigned.
Also.
What kind of thing is that?
And then you had the candidate for Karakou announcing his go after the general secretary come next convention and then having to withdraw.
Yeah, saying that he had the support of 11 constituencies and he had to. There's something cooking within the organization, and they're trying to shift focus to all kind of other things. Yeah, and they're trying to unify their people behind a no vote.
A no vote.
I heard one of the most dunce political statements for the year 2018. One of the most dunce political statements. I heard it this morning on GBN. When the political leader of the NDC told people that if they vote no, they're not voting against the CCJ. If you vote no, you're voting against the CCJ. So what, me think all is stupid? I mean, how dunce can you be? Well, I mean, if you vote no, you're voting against the CCJ. You vote yes, you get the CCJ. You vote no, you don't get the CCJ. So how could voting no not be voting against the CCJ? How could be voting? I mean, come on, man. Let's be serious with this thing. Yeah? Stop trying to take people for fools. I think they need to stop doing that. Good morning, Lady Fran. We hope you're having a wonderful morning this morning, you and Kathy.
They continue to underestimate the Grenadian people, all right, in terms of their ability.
There's this constant attempt by that organization to misread the level of intelligence of Grenadians. They continually believe that they are the only ones within knowledge, wisdom, and understanding resonates and resides. They think everybody else stupid, so that they have to come and try to tell you how to think and not provide any information, anything to you, but just come out and throw things at you, and that you so stupid you can just take it and run with it. Members of the NDC, it is high time that you teach your political leaders, your political masters, a lesson. It is high time that you teach them a lesson. Yeah? Vote yes on referendum day.
Of course.
And I'm not just going to tell you vote yes. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to say vote yes. Because if you have a son or a daughter, or you yourself end up in a situation where you are wrongfully accused, where you might be innocent, but you find yourself on the wrong side of the law, and you end up in prison for an inordinate amount of time, you would want the opportunity to get out. As it is right now, you will never be able to afford to go to the Privy Council. Well, maybe if you're rich, because the Privy Council is a rich people thing. If you're rich, you could go to the Privy Council. But the CCJ is not only affordable, it is more affordable by far. Registration fee for a case at the CCJ is what, 500 US?
Yeah.
And with the 500 US, according to the case, they might look at the person's circumstance and situation, realize this person is a poor person, and they would waive it.
Flexibility.
There's flexibility. They would waive it. You might not be able to afford a lawyer, but according to the case, the CCJ could contact the legal fraternity here in Grenada and say, listen, this person has a case that we would really like to sit and listen to. This person has a case that we'd like to think, but they need legal representation. Can the legal fraternity in Grenada provide this person pro bono, in other words, for free, with legal representation? They've done it before. They have a history of doing it. The only pro bono cases that go to the Privy Council are people who commit murder. That's the only people who cases go to the Privy Council, and the people who commit murder. But you might have a child that go carnival time with their friends in the village and all of them hanging out on the Carenage or on Karani James Boulevard. A fight may break out. Yeah? All of them may be involved at varying degrees. Sometimes one don't even pelt a lash, but it just happened to be with the group that was there. And something happened to somebody, case come up, and your child who didn't even throw a lash ends up in prison. They end up in prison. It has happened. And don't give the impression that these things have not happened before. There are people walking out of jail in the United States after 20-something years because they finally found out that that person wasn't even in the area, they're innocent. So if it could happen in the United States, if it could happen in Britain, if it could happen in Germany, if it could happen all over Europe and in quote-unquote developed countries, Canada and so on, why can't it be happening right here in Grenada? So it's not an indictment on our legal system. That's the legal system the world over. Innocent people sometimes end up behind bars.
A lot of times.
And sometimes for a very long time before the innocence is proven.
20 years, 25 years. I mean, that's...
But imagine that you've been sentenced to 20 years at Her Majesty's prison. So you're 20 years in jail. And after you're sentenced 20 years in jail, you know that you're innocent. So you appeal your case to the OECS Court of Appeal. You fail at the OECS Court of Appeal. At the High Court, you have one judge. At the OECS Court of Appeal, I think it's 3 judges you would have, right? So your next move is to appeal to the Privy Council. Can you afford to go to the Privy Council? Do you have $100 and something thousand to $200,000 sitting somewhere there so that you could appeal to the Privy Council? You may not have that, but you may be able to get nearly free, or at least at a reasonable cost, to go to the CCJ. You would have the opportunity to go to the CCJ. One of the only cases, the only case from Grenada right now is being heard at the Privy Council today. Yeah. That's of former Lieutenant Ewart. Well, all the military attachments dropped. Ewart Lane. Yeah, Ewart Lane. His case is there before the Privy Council today. Right? But how many other cases? How many poor people, children sit down in Richmond Hill Prison that may be innocent? That may be innocent. Yeah? Because the police will go on what information they have. So you're not saying that the police doing a wrong thing. You know, the police go on what information they have. So they have witnesses that say, we see so and so do that. The police can't go otherwise. They go on what they find and what they see.
Based on the evidence that is provided and they gather.
They find your shirt next to the body.
Questions has to be asked.
The
Why?
cutlass you was going in the garden with is the one they find with next to the body.
With all the blood on it.
And your fingerprints on it. It don't necessarily mean you're the one that killed.
Nope.
Somebody could have thrown your shirt and your cutlass there. But the police will go on what they have. And therefore, you need to have the opportunity to exonerate yourself. That's a big word that is used. Yeah? To clear yourself and to clear your name. And that is where the Caribbean Court of Justice comes in. But you have some people who are sleeping on millions of dollars here in Grenada. Some people who, if their toenail hurt them too much, they could jump on a plane right now and they could go into the United States, or they could make their arrangements and go to Canada or wherever, or regionally go and sort out themselves. Are telling you, who can't afford to do such, that you should not take the opportunity to vote yes for something that is going to give you the opportunity to get justice for yourself or your family. It could be your child. Yeah. It could be you. It could be your brother or your sister or even your mother or your father. Should we just say, okay, well, innocent people in jail, innocent people in jail. It wasn't there, the name couldn't call, and you just leave them in jail?
And they pretty innocent. And look,
simply because they you want to spite Keith Mitchell, so you want to spite Dr. Mitchell by leaving your relative in jail for 25 years. Up to you.
What does that prove? I mean, that doesn't prove anything.
And somebody that said a sensible will tell you that.
And one of the things, the benefits to it is that you as a small man, a poor man, right, in a community who may have a burning issue, something that you really want to express, and so a case you may want to, you will bring to the magistrate court. You, in your view, right, you need justice, you have not got it, right, and it end up the Court of Appeal, still the same thing. You have an opportunity to go to the Caribbean Court of Justice, because that particular issue, right, may ultimately set some precedent as to how other rulings within the Caribbean, you know, I mean, go. The judges and them may look at it and say, look, this is something that we would look at. This, the complainant and so may not have the money to basically come to the court or fight that case. But the case itself, the substance of it is very important, not just for them, but for other people within the Caribbean. Thus, the CCJ will definitely look into it, right? And as Sheldon said, perhaps waive the fees, ensure that you get legal representation to take up that case, right? You won't get that happening in the Privy Council. You don't, right? But you have an opportunity.
Sometimes a lawyer want to make a name, so they decide, boy, I want to be the one to go to the CCJ with that case.
Exactly.
Sometimes they just decide, boy, me in charging for that. You know? If I go and I deal with that case, and I'm successful, even if I'm not successful, people will always remember me as a lawyer to deal with that.
Exactly.
You want an example of that? Ramesh Lawrence Maraj. He went to the Privy Council on a murder case how many years ago, and he did something that nobody else had done before. And after that, once was a murder case and you sentenced to hang, or you had the possibility of sentence to hang in Trinidad, Ramesh Lawrence Maraj was the lawyer you're going to. You don't care if you had to spend hundreds of thousands or millions if you have it, as Dolce and then maybe spend. I don't know. Maybe could be, could not be. I don't know. But if you had the money, you was going to Ramesh. If you didn't have the money, you're still going to Ramesh. Some people maybe use the game cow and all kind of thing. I'm telling you, wherever they have, you give your bison, you get a portion of land, whatever you have, you're giving it because you want to free your relative. So we have the opportunity to choose the CCJ, something that is of and from us, something that we sure is going to be around.
Yep. For a long, long time.
But the people telling you vote no, they don't care about the fact that you may have had money spent on printing the ballots and these sort of things, readying the electoral machinery for the November the 6th. They don't care about that. They're saying to you right now that you should go and vote no so that you have to spend for the same process again. And I'm saying you will have to spend for it again. I'm not guessing if, what, or maybe. You will have to spend for it again. Not that this government is going to say, okay, we failed now, bring it again next year. But that the Privy Council itself will be no more sooner rather than later. And you will then not have an option through a referendum whether to stay with the Privy Council or not. You'll only have one option. And your one option will be the CCJ.
No choice.
And you'll have to spend the same money that you spend now to go through the same process again just to go to the CCJ.
And watch, one of the things that we have not been highlighting, and it's very significant to us being a part of the entire, thing of the CCJ, right? Look at the Gilbert family from Grenada, right? Who had that terrible ordeal in a Caribbean country, Barbados, and I mean, it warrant legal attention, and so could they have, brought that case in the Barbados court or even to the Privy Council or whatever, even in Grenada, file a case like that and get justice. They now have an opportunity to file to the CCJ and fight their case and get justice, and so. Right? So these are the opportunities that is being given to us through the CCJ, right? Things that we may not have bothered with or figure, well, look, we go into another country, Caribbean country, and we get turned back. We get, we had problems through immigration or customs, and we figure, look, we were not dealt with in the proper way. We have redress. The CCJ is there. And I'm so glad for the Gilbert family and so for making that step and ensuring, right, that their voices are being heard and they get whatever legal justice that comes, and so, because it's important.
And let me say this, because to add to the callaloo of confusion and to mix up your minds as much as possible, you have people out there who are saying, well, we're already in the CCJ, so why we need to go and vote on this thing? Because they don't want you to go and vote.
Exactly.
Now remember, the CCJ is two separate courts. You have the appellate jurisdiction. They have two jurisdictions, the appellate jurisdiction and the original jurisdiction. The case by the Gilbert family is being done, and by the gentleman who's doing the case to Trinidad, they're doing that case through the original jurisdiction. The original jurisdiction only deals with if your rights as a CARICOM citizen are being breached, according to the Treaty of Chaguaramas. Your right to free movement and to entry in other CARICOM territories. If you as a Grenadian go down to Trinidad and Trinidadian immigration, for no good reason, decide that they're not going to let you enter, you're not carrying any communicable diseases, you haven't committed a crime and so on, and they just decide, well, we're not letting you enter into Trinidad. So you have not committed any offense, and they just decide that they're ill-treating you and so on. That's one thing. Once they decided that they're not going to let you enter, they have breached the CARICOM Treaty. Yeah, if you don't have the proper documentation, also that they could stop you. If you have some sort of communicable disease, like they find out that you have Ebola, Yeah, next thing you have Ebola. You try to go down and you have Ebola. Yeah, they could stop you from entering. Yeah, if you have committed crimes in that country, if you're wanted in other countries and there's a notice out on you, or so on, they can stop you. But otherwise, they have to let you into the country.
Have to.
Yeah? So we have to understand these things and understand them in the context. We have a caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Scott.
Morning.
And Devon.
Yes, boss, morning.
You hear me laughing, man. You say, one of them say that if you vote no, you vote.
It's a dunce's political statement for the year. And I've heard of you. But this is the thing. It's just one of the dunce's things I've heard for the year. I mean, come on, man. Who they telling that? That's disrespectful to my intelligence.
Who person say that?
The political leader of the NDC. Acting.
You know it's Arnold changing mind on that? Because I know he supports all your, and I don't know because he's saying the mind kind of convoluted there. So he says something no, and after you end up getting a twist on it. So
well, my
I
friend,
don't know if he changed his mind on that.
Let me put it to you like this: they have groups of individuals on behalf of their party going around telling people vote no. It's that bad with them. They're so hypocritical that with one side of the mouth they're speaking, and then they're trying to speak about the bill. The bill.
What will bring the demise of the NDC? The woman that is running tongue against me that every day. I might tell her for a little while now. She go cause the demise of the NDC. Cause I find she claims that she's the one that know everything, but because she shaping up this, because she may cause a division in the party. I know because so far there are a lot of evidence proving that to see what she, because she can be conflicting so.
Well, my brother,
take care, Devon, take care, man.
That's their problem to deal with, eh? That's their problem to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah. I could tell you this. We are no problem to deal with. This is why the New National Party can say openly that we have our convention on Sunday at the Grenada Boys Secondary School Auditorium. Yeah. Now, we are a party that is united. We are a party that can come out and say on Sunday at the Grenada Boys Secondary School, the New National Party will be holding its convention 2018. And all positions up for grabs. As usual.
All.
Yeah, our party is a democratic party. Yeah. So we ain't had nothing that does say that our political leader position, you can't challenge him for 2 years. Or so what kind of stupidness is that? In our party, at every convention, and I've been to quite a few, every convention, the position of political leader is open. Yeah, it ain't nothing in no thing saying, oh well, we so believe in with good governance and all of that. And then you come in and say that, oh, you can't challenge this position and you can't challenge that position. Well, at least we know the position of chairman is open. We know that for sure.
We know that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We ain't guessing that one. We know the position of chairman is open within the NDC.
And political leader.
Within the NDC.
Yeah,
and political leader. We know them two positions within the NDC open.
It's wide open.
And we know the one for general secretary was getting a challenge.
He kind of jijiri.
Yeah. He kind of shaky ground there right now. He walking on marshland. I know it's interesting because I see some guys right now, especially around now, Devon. I'm seeing a lot of postings online by some individuals who trying to, you know, the only thing I ain't see them doing yet, and they probably do it on INC, is put on like some beret and start to walk around like Che Guevara. But they're playing revolutionary. Puff, puff. That's it, a puff, puff, revolutionary.
Just come, man.
Let me tell you, Devon, when the Americans come, them is the ones that drop the gun and run. And listen, don't try and...
Some of them they have no guns too.
So, well, that's the thing.
Some of them have no guns.
Some of them melt. And let me tell you something. I could say that in front of Devon. Because the reason Devon and them put down their weapons and go was to preserve the life of Grenadians. Yep. If at his location where he was, he had fired on the helicopters and you had them helicopters line up more than once.
And even the two battleships on the outside.
More than once. Yeah. Had Devon and his team fired on them and they returned fire, innocent Grenadians would have died. So it's not that Devon and them coward. Devon and his team were looking after the interests of the people in the areas they were. People all on Cemetery Hill would have dead.
Yeah. And
people
even,
all down the Pontius Street would have dead.
Exactly. And I must say, hail up some of the comrades, I know some of them who still are wrong. Especially that anti-aircraft unit that was in Dabo. Right? I mean, who could have I mean, almost create carnage. And so, I mean, when a line of helicopters was flying right through over the River Road, right underneath the Prime Minister's residence there, they were flying right around there. And the anti-aircraft was lined up at them. And they just they decided not to fire because why? The residents at the bottom there.
Is River Road people with that
River
there?
Road people. And ironic, most of the guys were from River Road in that unit.
Number one, they'll be finding their own house. Because them when the shells and them start to go down, and even if you hit the helicopter, we crashing. Might be into your own mother house.
Exactly. You understand? So all these things.
So they ain't no coward. These guys is not the cowards I'm talking about. I'm talking about the coward and them that from the time they see the battleship and them, they just drop gun and run.
Yeah, they change in civilian and stay home. They didn't have come out on the 25th.
And these are the ones who call themselves progressive thinkers, who call themselves revolutionaries, but it's the same ones that right now telling you, don't vote yes for the CCJ. Always paf, paf, revolutionary. Paf, paf. They like flower pap. In fact, flower pap too good for them. Flower pap too good. Flower pap does high uses and so.
Yeah, you have use and so. So let me put it in that.
There's no doubt in your diary, my That's high use. Yeah, but them is paf paf.
Yeah, and I'm telling you. But you know, when I listen to a lot of them who continue to fight and preach no, especially against the CCJ, and so it's amazing, right? And you know what? Randolph Robinson said it great, you know, in the opening of the CCJ thing at in Grand Anse, right? When he
gentlemen, this is not about me, this is about all of you and all of us. But I want to say one thing before we start. In 1979, a number of our young people did something that reverberated around the world. Something that it may not have lasted forever, but has, in a world of no cell phone and no internet and no fax machine or nothing like that, has established institutions that today we are very proud of. MNIB, National Insurance Board, and the airport. You know, we should have been the first one signing on to the CCJ. We should have been. I don't know what happened, but given what we did then, we should have been the first. So keep that in the back of your minds with those of you who have all the excuses in the world as to why we shouldn't.
Exactly. You see, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. No, Randolph Robinson said it right. And he said it, and he knew who he was talking to, you know. Those around him. Those who he realized were becoming hypocrites and so on, trying to mislead and to drag the people differently. He reiterated to them that, look, we should have been the first to go to the CCJ based on where we were.
But how does Randall reconcile his position now with the position of the political organization of which he's the mouthpiece?
Exactly. What?
Our position ain't changed. Our position has always been vote yes.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, so why no today? Look, somebody's asking.
I think it's interesting to hear if he's still saying yes or he's saying no. I want to know if he's man enough, Randall Robinson. I want to know if he's man enough to stand his ground and say this is something good, and therefore, as a man, I'm going to stand up and tell my organization, I am voting yes.
And you know,
I'm wondering if he's man enough or if he coward, if he can just fall in line because he afraid they fire him.
I'm hoping so. Both he and former Senator Glenn Noel, the General Secretary.
Who, Glenn?
You understand?
The guy that said this?
What is our and what is my position on the CCJ? First and foremost, the NDC and I not opposed to the CCJ. But I want to say to you that the CCJ would not come into reality unless we change our attitude in the way we do business.
Yeah, I mean, how do they reconcile their statements with what is being said by their organization right now?
At the beginning.
How do they reconcile that? I think we have a call on that.
Good morning and welcome.
Sheldon. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning, my friend.
Yeah, but it's Sheldon Devon. When people say that they are progressive thinkers, a progressive person who think progressive, to say they are progressive thinkers and doing the opposite, right? They are hypocrites, right? And if you say you're progressive thinkers, you should be a progressive doers. And anything that anyone do to help better and to bring progress to other people, you should appreciate it, right? No, as the Bible said that in James 1, verse 21 to 26, it says, if you say we be a hearer of the word and not a doer, right? We are seeing now, people speak and say they are progressive thinkers, but the action is always against progress. So how could you say you are progressive thinkers and you're thinking negative? You don't want to see progress take place in our country, and you want nobody to life develop. So I always say, Brother David and Sheldon, if you say you are progressive thinkers, you should approve and appreciate anything that any benefit and anything that will bring progress to someone's life. You should appreciate it and walk along with it. Saying you are progressive thinkers and doing the negative, you are nothing. You're nothing. You are just hypocrite, right? And these people they have no care and no love for one another, right? So I call them all mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, all Grenadians. Right? We love one another. Let us go out and vote for the CCJ. The CCJ is the way to go. Right? And CCJ is the code that will bring freedom and liberty for each and every one of us. So, Brother Devon, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Right. And somebody say we have to replay this thing again, but like play it again.
What is our and what is my position on the CCJ? First and foremost, the NDC and I not opposed to the CCJ. But I want to say to you that the CCJ would not come into reality unless we change our attitude in the way we do business.
Very, very strong and direct statement.
Direct statement.
So they're supporting. But 1 minute you're supporting and next minute you're telling people vote no again. No wonder you lose the election
inconsistencies
in 2013 and in 2018, 15. No wonder you lose twice.
Especially those two elections because of the message, the confusing message that they relate to the Grenadian people. The Grenadian people cannot trust an organization, right, who is moving forward and moving back, changing their position every morning they wake up. You cannot. We have 10, 12 different people speaking on behalf of the organization, giving conflicting views, trying to distort and to misrepresent the facts that is in front of them, right? I mean, what sort of organization is that? What future? I mean, that they hold up. I don't know, man.
You know what they need? They need WAPCO Kie. What's up, Kie?
They are confusing. I really thought, I'm serious, Sheldon. I really thought, and I believe that being part of that organization a couple of years ago, I really believe that they had something really good for the Grenadian people, right? In terms of leadership, in terms of programs and so. But I mean, me and others get to realize that it was just a bunch of selfish guys, right, who remain in NDC trying to grab power every morning they wake up. You have some problems with them. They are not considering what the Grenadian people wants. But they are not,
Let me also say this, Devon, that some of the same tricks, since the organization has decided to go this direction, some of the same tricks that they had planned to use during the 2013 election campaign, they're going to attempt to employ some of those tricks during the 2018 campaign, sorry. They're going to try to employ some of those tricks in the 2018 referendum.
And they have started already.
So expect them to attempt to slow down lines. If there are any lines, expect them to try and slow it down and all this sort of things. Use different means and methodology. Yeah, so look out for them at the polling stations, attempting in very subtle ways
to slow it the hell down.
Yeah. So they just bring out about 10 of the people and they come out to vote one after the other, and they decide each of them going and take an inordinate amount of time, more time than should normally be necessary, just to cast the ballot,
and
or to
understanding
go through the process.
and understanding too that the mood of the Grenadian people. They are hoping that the Grenadian people are wary in terms of going to the polls, so they will they will try all these tactics to basically, as you say, slow it down, to confuse people, to make people frustrated and return back home, and they think they will win.
Remember, they had the person here saying, slow it
The hell down.
So look out for those sort of things. Not that we expect the long lines that you have at election time, but for instance, they know that you busy and you have to go to work. And let's say this as well to the employers. It's not like you have an option if you're going and let somebody go to vote. You have to let them go to vote. You don't have a choice in this matter. The only choice you have is what time during the workday you allow them to go.
Exactly.
So it's either they go early in the morning and then they come to work, or you allow them to leave if they have to reach the work for the normal time, that you give them enough time so that they can leave. For instance, you can't say that they're working up until 4, yeah? Or they're working, let's say they're working up until 5. Polls close at 5 or 6? 5?
5, I think, or 6.
Yes, 5 or 6. I think
it's
it's
5. Yeah.
So polls close at 5, and the person is working up to 4, and they have to go up to St. Patrick to vote, and you decide that they have to work up until 4 and then grab a bus to get up to try and go and cast their ballot. My brother, you can find yourself on the wrong side of the law if that is the case.
Yeah.
You have to allow people time to go and cast a ballot.
It is a right.
Yeah? If they come back without the ink on the finger, which means they didn't go and vote, that's another story. That's between you and them.
That's between you
But
and them.
your responsibility is not to study that. Your responsibility is to let them go. The other thing is some young ladies saying they want to go because they go dirty the ink on their finger. They go dirty their nails. They go dirty their nails, yeah. So the children future are important.
Yeah, it's not important.
Their
but the
future
nails.
are important. So if 3 or 4 of them ladies hanging out in a club and a fight break out and somebody dies and all 4 of them get sentenced, they will talk about the nails up in prison. Yeah? Because they don't have the opportunity to go to their final court to have the opportunity to get themselves out of prison, even though they don't pelt a lash.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yes, caller, you're live.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you all talking, I'm listening about an hour now. And I heard you all talking about the NDC and the CCJ. I'm not telling you all how to run the program, yeah?
Yeah, and you better don't, huh?
Yeah. But what I think you all should do, come with information to educate people, persuade people on the CCJ, on the government plans, what they have in progress for the youth, and you all should come with.
Have you been listening? Have you been listening to the program yesterday and today? Have you really been listening for the last hour? Or you just decide? Or you just decided to come in and make out? Or you just? If you're listening every day, you would have heard me say yesterday that the government had 1,350 young people. In fact, 1,410 to be exact, plus 8,400 under the bushing program and environmental wardens. Didn't you hear me say that yesterday?
Listen what I'm saying.
No, you listen what I'm saying. You listen what I'm saying. You listen what I'm saying and you respond. Did you not hear me say that yesterday?
I don't call to argue, my friend.
Okay, well, bye-bye. Yeah. 440-7377. No, you ain't getting through with that today. You're always coming with the stupidness. Not here today. Yeah? Other people might tolerate nonsense. Not here. Right? We said that yesterday. We spoke about the employment that has been taking place. Yeah? 850 under Imani. 500 under Empower. Engaged in positive programs where they're going to get a little stipend and that sort of thing. 60 at the police training school. That brings you up to 1,410, innit? Plus you have roughly about 8,400 this month alone engaged. Between last month and this month, around 8,400 persons engaged in the debushing program, as well as environmental wardens and so on. The people who have been doing the drains and so on will be doing that for an extended period of time. Yeah? So we have been speaking about these sort of things. So you won't dictate that I don't speak about the CCJ today and I speak about something else. Go and buy your time on radio and do your own program. But don't come and try and disrespect me.
And you see, one of the things, and when you hear statements by members of the NDC coming out and chanting vote no and everything, we all have to sit down and ask ourselves why. Why are they doing that? You understand? What would they gain? And so, good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon.
Good morning, my friend.
And good morning to Mr. Scott. And to your all listening audience. Now, let me start off here by saying, because sometimes, people might be missing the big picture. We must mention the NDC name on a regular basis. Why? Because it should be engraved in the mindset of the Grenadian people. Because the goal is, if they don't know, the goal is to bury them once and for all in the future. So what we are doing now is not only for now, is to make our work much easier in the next 4 years, when the next 4.5 years, 5 years come. So we have to mention the NDC right through, because we want the negative imprint to register in the mind of people. Now, Mr. Scott and Devon, I refuse to believe the NDC is that confused and lack leadership. I keep on saying, these guys are truly surrendering this country to the NNP. Even their supporters are losing faith in them, because many of the supporters that's going to vote yes for the CCJ can't see the logic in voting no. No, Mr. Scott, listen, I don't understand how come these people that was part of the revolution and who supported the revolution are now telling people to vote no for our final court of justice. It does not add up. It makes no sense. I mean, how come a man like Nas could be telling us that? Mr. Glenwell, Mr. Vincent Roberts, Mr. Joseph Andal, Mr. Gill, Mr. Philip Alexander, Mr. Patrick Trick Simmons, Sylvester Qualis. How come these guys in their good mind could be telling people not to vote for a court as our final court of appeal when we already have a regional appeals court? What are they saying to us? Look, as black people in this part of the world, we have set up our own universities and we have produced some of the best, bright and brilliant academic minds. We have set up our own banks and we have been quite successful. Our EC dollar is still strong since we born. We have set up many functioning bodies and organizations that work very well. We already have our own regional court. Now we are moving to officially join our already paid for and established Caribbean Court of Justice. The Nancy Drug Committee is sticking to the slogan, just say no. At a time when the NDC have to show some political maturity and vision, once again, they have failed the people. It's a very sad day for us politically when we have an opposition, brothers and sisters, that does not have the best interests of the people at heart, and they are prepared to play politics with every aspect of the Grenadian people's life. It is not fair, it is wrong, it is not visionary, and as a result of that, they have no other choice but to stay in opposition for the foreseeable future. Gentlemen, have a pleasant day.
All right, thank you very
much.
much.
My friend.
And anytime you see a touch on nerve with NDC, certain people just want to call and try and shift your discussion away from the fact that the organization that they call the NDC is breaking up. That's the organization. You had the two major resignations. Your chairman of your party and your political leader say, hey, watch, I'm done with this thing. I gone. Yeah? That's not the NNP. That's the NDC. So that is what happens. Anytime you start to expose those things. So The bossmen out there realize, wait now, in truth, boy, Nas resign, no, Vincent resign, and
I hear you have a woman behind.
I hear a woman gone too. I hear all kind of things.
A big mouthpiece.
We used to be a mouthpiece.
Yeah, well, yes.
We used to be. Sort of gone silent of late.
Oh, yeah.
Seems so. Yeah. Maybe they're focusing on hairdressing. I know. But anyhow, but the bottom line is this: it's not the NNP that's falling apart.
No.
They take the time to talk about the NNP, but the NNP mustn't take the time to talk about them. No, I'm talking about them. And especially when they take the Grenadian people so fool, they think that Grenadian people shop it so that they will come out and they go tell Grenadians all this nonsense, like if you vote no, you're not voting against the Caribbean Court of Justice. They are voting against the Caribbean Court of Justice if they vote no. They are voting against the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Watch. These guys, they are spiteful to the Grenadian people. I'll tell you why. They understand the importance, as they have said it, right? The importance of the CCJ. They know what it can do, right? The boost it can give Grenada and Grenadians on a whole, right? But they are so hypocrite and spiteful. And so, just because they want to achieve their own political end to say, well, okay, it's a referendum, and they need 2/3, and if we go and we vote no, it won't pass, and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? How can you be an organization who say you care about the Grenadian people and you want to govern them? How can you? Right? It is good when you are there, but when someone else is at the helm, right, is at the reign, you totally object, and not just being objective, you know. Now, I can understand if you have an issue genuinely, right, to talk about or to educate the Grenadian people about, but you're just being spiteful because you are not the one in office.
But even worse than that, you're hearing people saying that their reason for cutting off their nose is to spite their face.
It's to spite their. How stupid is that?
And they're out there and they're saying it clearly that Dr. Mitchell feel that he gonna get some legacy to say that how the Constitution was amended under him. They gonna make sure that it's not done. I mean, that's the duncest statement that anybody could make. It's dunce. There's no other way to describe it. Yeah, I'll find again on today. It dunce. He dunce. And that's a path revolutionary saying that and saying the progressive. It dunce.
And when you hear persons like C. Joseph, Claudette Joseph, who's supposed to be
C. Joseph in truth.
Yeah, C. Joseph. When you hear her, the utterance of her, it's amazing.
That's why we said last election there was only one Joseph that was going back into Parliament.
Well, yeah.
Claudette Joseph was going and neither was Joseph Handel.
Yeah,
you know it was only Oliver Joseph.
Only Oliver Joseph. You understand? I mean, it is so disgusting to hear her talk and how she talked down to the Grenadian people. Now, come on, who are you, madam, to figure that you have that stake to dictate to the Grenadian people?
So
I mean, come on.
Let's look at it. She's constantly saying, oh, the amount has been raised to $25,000. The law, the Caribbean Court of Justice Agreement says that the $25,000 is only applicable, but not in the case of if you have a law in your country which says that it's less or more or whatever, or the Constitution of your country, and the Constitution of Grenada says it's $1,500.
$1,500
or $1,200, somewhere around there. Yeah? So the Constitution of Grenada takes precedent over anything else. And also the law allows for the minister to be able to change the amount.
Exactly, to give out waiver.
So to try to give the impression to the Grenadian people that you're doing something where you're moving the price to take the case. Right now you could go to the Privy Council for $1,200. You try and go to the Privy Council for $1,500. Try. You try and go to the Privy Council for $1,500. Let us stay there and make you feel that the price to go to the Privy Council is $1,500.
And the Grenadian people, I mean, we have been in the Privy Council for years, right? The majority of our people understand, right, what it takes to go to the Privy Council. They are now given an opportunity, right, to cut on costs, to cut on everything, and not just that, to have persons overseeing, right, their legal situations, persons who are like-minded, you understand, who understand their culture, who understand their situations more than the law lords in England. And so,
I could give somebody a blyer.
Oh, sure, definitely.
All your Kamia Asham, go and buy shield.
Yeah, a lot of Asham too.
Go and buy Asham by Kami. Kamia Asham, go and buy.
And the Asham
things for sale.
The Asham tasting good too, eh? Yeah.
She has bra, she all kind of things for sale. Go and buy Kami.
But
she had drinks on sale to go and buy out Kami. Go and buy everything. Yeah.
Morning to the Rastafari sister in Kami. Good morning to you, darling.
She must be able to walk freely inside and freely outside because they buy out everything.
Buy out everything.
You empty the shelf. Just buy.
You understand?
They go and buy out everything.
And good morning to all the busmen of the nation. Yeah.
Helen Marie.
Helen
Good
Marie.
morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, so all you watch now, don't go and try and jam up by Helen the end of November, early December to go and sew no curtain. Go and buy your curtain and
right now
and sew.
Drop it in.
Yeah.
Let her do it. Dali.
All your uniform adjusted and that kind of thing. Just make sure the uniform clean. Don't bring no dirty curtain. Don't bring no dirty uniform. Helen is a funny woman. You go with any dirty pants and tell Helen sew it and she looking and she sees it, she will give you back. Make sure your clothes clean. Right?
Big up to Dali out there in Grenville, yeah. Hey, I hear, man, I see some clothes that Dali was able to sew for a young lady, man, a teacher. Wow.
Yeah. It's absolutely wonderful.
Professional, man.
I wonder if any of the new trainees that are entering into the Imani program will be going with her. Yeah, I know that she has a few trainees right now who she's training, and they've been getting along pretty well. So I'm hoping that some will get on there.
Also, to Miss Fletcher out there in Birch Grove, you know, who has been there, and also we have a lot of young trainees there, you know, taking part, and they have been putting out some excellent
850 more with that.
And imagine that 850 more, and not just that, and we have 500 young men who have been targeted. You understand? Between the ages of 16 and 35, targeted. You understand? To take them from where they are and improve on whatever they want to do. I mean, how commendable. I mean, returning to office only a few months, and the plans of this government is already starting, to continuously roll out, right? Kudos to the Minister of Youth and Sports, right, and Culture. And so, hey, you have two young persons in that ministry, Sheldon, who have, tactically, Dr. Michelin looking for cabinet ministers to handle positions like that. He have definitely selected two of the younger and more vibrant ministers to hold that portfolio. You know, in our good senator, I always tend to forget
Senator Cox.
Senator Cox. Sorry, sir. You understand? And MP Skeeter.
Yeah, man. Watch that. Let me touch something for them people, and I feel I'll touch this one. Yeah. Right. Nice.
Grenada, Grenada. Somebody wave your hands and give me praise. Say, we can't sit down. We can't sit down. No, we can't sit down. We can't sit down. Grenada, what you say? We can't sit down. We can't.
Remember, the convention of the new national party is going to be taking place on Sunday. All of the delegates, we hope that you've already organized your business and so that you'll be down bright and early. The registration should be about 9:30, somewhere in 9, I think, yeah. It is the responsibility of all the constituencies to feed me on the day. I am wondering which constituency would take the responsibility of providing breakfast.
Breakfast?
Who will be providing, yes, breakfast. Who will be providing lunch part 1? Who will be providing lunch part 2?
Breakfast, man, you make your breakfast and come and
stay out of me and my constituency's business. Talk for yourself.
No breakfast.
Stay out of me and my constituency's business. Alright? Fat man. Nice. Right. So, right now, lunch part 1, lunch part 2, lunch part 3, lunch part 4, mid-evening snack, and who is providing dessert and so on. So all you organize among all yourself, you know, somebody going out, you know.
If all of that is at stake, I'm jamming with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So breakfast, huh? Yeah, breakfast, yeah. I'm not a finicky eater, you know. I eat everything, yeah.
I refuse.
Including the manico, yeah.
I gotta testify. Put up your hands and give him praise.
Hey, I want to say a special, a good morning to some special persons vacating in Grenada at this point in time. Leonard, Eddie, yeah, Val, Keith, Denise, and so you guys visiting from the USA. Good morning to you, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Vic, good morning to you, Vic. Rob, yeah, how is the family? Yeah, just a special good morning to all of you, and hope you enjoy your short stay, short but exciting stay in Grenada, you know?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. 4407377, that's 4407377, that's the number for you to call.
And 347-329-3101.
Yeah, and over the weekend, boy, Karakou had some serious weather over the weekend. Huh?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Strange enough,
Not
Trinidad
strange.
had some bad weather. Tobago was okay. Karakou had some flooding and that sort of thing. Grenada was generally okay. Yeah. But I know that yesterday, let me see, just notice the Public Works Division within the Ministry of Karakou and Petty Affairs and Local Government. Okay, that was for yesterday. Yeah, they were closing a road temporary within there yesterday. And motorists flying through 16 Corners area to Tophill to proceed with caution when approaching the area, as stones and other debris may have loosened from the heavy rains over the past 3 days. The general public is also informed that the Public Works and Agricultural Division will be conducting an assessment of the area. They did do that yesterday. So they're busy up in Karakou.
And you have seen the minister on the ground with a team, leading a team.
Can you find them, those Wellingtons? Where did you get those wellies? Where did you find your wellies? I saw you in wellies. You had wonderful black Wellingtons on. Wow. Water boots, only water boots. Okay, water boots. Nice water boots.
Sheldon, I want to make a special appeal again to persons that those concerning, most likely persons from the Ministry of Works and the owners of that particular property. Right there in St. Andrews, close to Mellows. I've been talking about that wall, that back wall on the opposite side of Mellows, right? And so, this is, in my view, and in the view of a lot of persons, is a disaster waiting to happen. I look at it again, and cracks that were not there, right, are beginning to show, Sheldon. I mean, I've talked to a couple of busmen and so.
After the program, we'll talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's a serious,
one or two of those
serious
kind of
situation.
So after the program, we have somebody that can deal with that first, man. So we'll deal with that one, you know. Somebody asking us to play a shadow there. We play about 5 already. You just reach, partner.
The house is the symbol for the NNP party. We're going green all the way. Green, we voting green. Green, we voting green.
Yes, indeed. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheldon. Good morning. And good morning to you, Devon.
Good morning.
I cannot hear you very, very low as usual. Yes?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Can I say something, Sheldon?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, Sheldon, we as Grenadians, we have to take note of what is happening in our country. We're no longer under the authority of the slave master whip on the plantation. The CCJ is not for me and for you, Sheldon. It's for our great-grandchildren. We are securing our children's future. And Sheldon, we have a brilliant Prime Minister who is responsible to take our country forward. Grenadian children, wherever they go, Sheldon, they always come first. They always stand out in the class. So they're not backward. The children is not backward. So we're not a backward nation. So right now, we are the gem of the Caribbean, thanks to our brilliant Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister is taking this country forward. So come November, we call on all Grenadians to go forward and put the X-weight matters. We're voting yes for the CCJ because I am voting yes for the CCJ. Sheldon, everyone have a brilliant morning.
You
Good
too.
morning.
Thank you.
You too, Miss Matt. Take care.
Yeah, so slavery were emancipated 184 years ago, so we're heading up to 200 years.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery.
Mental, eh?
None but ourselves can free our mind.
Devon.
Have no fear for NDC talkers.
You're just talking about the weather in Trinidad and Carol.
They got to subside sometimes.
If Grenada get away and we get
How long will they mislead the people?
I know how to fix that, you know. I know how to fix that problem. Yes, indeed, folks. 4407377
and 347-329-3101.
It's now 28 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada.
Beautiful Grenada.
Yeah, you've got the opportunity to call them. Yeah, man. Don't let people come and telling you all kind of thing.
Think for yourself.
About this CCJ and this and they want to tell you wrong thing about the CCJ and all kind of thing. Here's what. You have the opportunity, and I know that you are capable. One, you can go to the CCJ website, that's ccj.org. You can go to the CCJ website, and there are frequently asked questions, various things that you can go there and find out about the CCJ on your own. Secondly, we have the Facebook page, CCJ Yes Grenada. We put out a lot of information about what the committee has been doing, the various meetings on a daily basis. In fact, we are at the Bonaire Government School this evening from 6 p.m. The committee will be out there. I think we have a call on the overseas line.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning,
guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am calling you all the way from Minnesota.
Wow. Welcome.
I got a question about Devon.
Go right ahead.
Are you here?
Yeah,
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go right ahead.
All right. Mr. Romain, I want to know, did you go to Palmer's school?
No. Where's Wesley Hall?
Wesley Hall.
Wesley Hall and GBSS.
Wesley Hall and GBSS, so the name some kind of familiar to me, so I was just trying to find out.
Yes.
Okay. Might be familiar otherwise.
Anyhow, excuse me?
No, I said it might be familiar otherwise, not necessarily just from school, but might be familiar otherwise.
Yeah, because I've been out of Grenada for a while, so I was just trying to find out.
So which?
I've been listening to you guys' program. Very nice program, and thank you very much, and always keep in touch with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling, my friend.
All right, sir. All right, so we have a caller out there in Minnesota.
Minnesota, wow.
Yeah. So
that is some
people don't want to hear that.
Nah,
they want to hear
don't
that
wanna
hard talk being listening to them place and them they vex. You understand?
And hard talk is able to share and to give information and to help sensitize people, not just in Grenada, the world over.
They want that. They want that at
They
all.
can't stomach that. They're throwing up when that happens.
But the thing is this, you hear them speaking about different things, and then they want to cuss people on the bargain. Yeah, they want to cuss people. We expose things here. We ain't cussing people. We expose things here. If somebody says something stupid, we say it's stupid, right? But for instance, this morning again, the political leader of the NDC saying that how the Grenville Abattoir and Market was an achievement of the NDC administration. That was an achievement of who?
The abattoir?
Yeah, the abattoir, the Maribo Abattoir.
An achievement?
Achievement of the NDC. And the Grenville Market, bus terminus. That was an achievement of the NDC.
They never prepared plans. They altered plans. Right? And yeah, we can say they implemented it. Something that was there. Government is continuous.
Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell, the Honorable Clarice Modest, the Honorable Roland Bowler, and the Honorable Elvin G. Nimrod spent 2008, 2009, and 2010 begging the then NDC administration to implement that program. In the Senate side, at a point in time, you had Senator Devon Romain, Senator Kennedy Roberts, and Senator Dwight Hosford. Then it was Senator Dwight Hosford, Senator Gregory Bowen, and Senator Anthony Boson. And they spent the period 2008 to 2010, nearly 2011, begging the NDC to implement the program because the funds were there and he was in danger of losing the funding for the project. In the same way that you end up losing the funding for the mini hospital up there in St. John.
And what did they do?
They take the longest time. Then when they did start it, they stopped paying the Caribbean Development Bank. Yeah, they stopped paying. In other words, the people lending you money and they're supposed to be paying at a certain time, and they did not pay the Caribbean Development Bank. And what happened? By the time the new National Party came in 2013, we were on the verge of losing the rest of the funding to complete that Grenville market, the abattoir, and the bus terminal. Yeah?
Well, the bus terminal
wasn't
even completed.
But we're on the verge of losing the money for it. It is due to immediate intervention by Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. I don't know if much people remember that the late Dwight Venner made sure that he was here in 2013 when the new administration, when Dr. Mitchell was being sworn in as Prime Minister. He made sure he reached here in Grenada because the situation was dire. He was the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. And the situation, Grenada's economy, was so bad that Dwight Venner made sure he was here. One of the first things, I never forget it, that Dr. Mitchell did on being sworn in 2013 was he walked right to the back of the Grenada Trade Center and he went immediately to have a meeting. That was the next day, the day after election, he'd been sworn in. He went with Timothy Antoine, Mike Sylvester, and the rest of the team, and they went to the back in a little room to discuss the state of the economy, the state of the finances of the country. Because at that point in time, every now and again, public workers used to be looking cross-eyed. Because you ain't sure that you're going to the teller machine on the 30th or 31st of the month and meeting your salary day. Sometimes you see it the next month. Sometime around the 4th, 5th, 6th of the next month, you might see the salary day. So they wasn't sure that they're going to see the salary there. So you had that situation. Yeah, Dr. Mitchell took immediate action in relation to the economy of Grenada. And you have ended up in a situation now where while our good friend Mia Motley is facing a situation where she has to act, she has to fire 1,500 people. That's the figure that I'm seeing now. 1,500 people from the public service. In other words, government workers. 1,500 of them. She has announced that they're going to be fired. After in July saying that that would be the last resort. Now they're under their they call it the BERT. The Barbados something. They call it Economic Restructuring Program. So they call it BERT. That's the acronym for it. So now they're under BERT. And they have to send home 1,500 people from the public sector, government workers in Barbados. And you know what she said now? They're going to send home those who just come first to leave. So in other words, if you just started working a few months ago, or you started working a year or so ago, that's the first ones that they're looking to send home. Yes, so these people are facing Christmas now, thinking, yeah, I'll get a one-off payment and so on, and maybe a little something in my hand to hold, but I don't have a job going into 2019.
Security.
So you have 1,500 going home in Barbados. Meanwhile, with the Grenadian economy, you have 1,410 being engaged. The 850 under Imani, the 500 who are no longer on the streets there, the young men who have been engaged in the Empower program, and you still have the 60 that are down in training school right now. So while Barbados is talking us, and then some people want to say, why Dr. Mitchell get this award? What do you mean, why Dr. Mitchell? Dr. Mitchell and the people of Grenada, because he constantly says it, it's a team effort. That's why they had the emulation ceremony down there at the Ministry of Finance. It is not him alone. It's all of us. He leads a team. A team. People that work together and gel to get the job done. So P.S. Wells, I think is the name. Yeah, P.S. down at the Ministry of Finance. Now Ophelia. Ophelia, yeah. And the others down there. And then Mr. Mike Sylvester and so on. This award is for all of them. They have done an excellent job. You have Mr. Timothy Antoine being awarded as the Governor of the Year. Trinidad didn't get it, Jamaica didn't get it, Bahamas and them Barbados didn't get it, but Guyana didn't get it, but Timothy Antoine, he got it. And remember, the week before, and I always hold that newspaper because I want them say they didn't do it. The week before he got the job, you had the New Today newspaper telling him that he should bow out of the race for the governor because his association with Dr. Mitchell would make sure that he don't get the job. He should bow out of the race because it have other people there and the association and people don't respect Dr. Mitchell, and so the man get a job. The week after, The week after, the New Today newspaper was telling a Grenadian, capable, competent, young Grenadian, he should not go for the job. He get a job.
Well qualified. And look at the job that he's doing. I mean, he's on top first year.
Governor?
First year. And look, he surpassed all of them. You see, because being a GBSS guy, but a brilliant Grenadian, student of economics, and that is what we need. Grenada has been leading in the entire Caribbean economically, all right, and so for the last 5 or more years, we have taken the lead.
Imagine your prime minister of your country has been awarded, not by a regional body, by a world organization, World Bank, for his stewardship of the finances of Grenada.
Small
and
country.
Some people still hate
Tiny.
that. You just hate the individual so much that you hate that as well.
You hate yourself.
I can't understand it. Well, no, I could understand.
Yeah, with some of
Maybe
them.
I doesn't want to understand, but I could understand. And I do understand. Yeah, that some people are so consumed by hate that they will cut off their own nose. They take in and they cut off their own nose with a piece of bottle. And they ain't even using a knife or a scalpel. They cut it off with a piece of bottle or a steam metal.
They will torture themselves just to do that. I mean,
just to spite their face and watch their face and say, see how you're ugly, no?
How
See how you're ugly?
pathetic. How pathetic, I mean, some of them are. Right? And they want to lead Grenada. How can you, with such shallow vision,
Well, you see, it's
hatred?
It's path revolutionaries and path intellectuals.
I don't even call them revolutionaries. They just path.
Path
Yes.
intellectuals as
Right.
well. They call themselves intellectuals, but they path.
Yeah, they waste of time. And the Grenada people have been telling them that for the last couple of years. I mean, you have not shown yourself. You have not given us nothing new. You can't lead this country. Leave it for those who are mature and can lead. Right? Dr. Mitchell and his team has been doing a great job and will continue for the next 20 or 30 years to lead Grenada.
Jealousy.
Yeah, well, all of that.
Jealousy.
And because of that, you want to spite the Grenadian people. You want to look down to the Grenadian people and tell them, oh, because it's Dr. Mitchell and the NNP that's in office, we must not go to referendum. We must not secure the future, right, of our children, right? We must not take the next step, right, to emancipate ourselves. How pathetic you guys are. I mean, come on, man. You need to do better than that. You are shaming Grenada. Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Hey, Papa. We heading Bonnet later.
Bonnet later.
Bonnet later.
Just making
Actually, I just tuned in, so I wasn't sure if you mentioned it.
I actually had just mentioned it, but you go right ahead and do it again. Reinforcement is always good.
We had to see the CCJ train. It goes to Bonnet School this afternoon at 6 o'clock. We want to encourage everyone, not only in St. Max, people on the outskirts, because education is continuing. You might hear something in St. Max, in Bonnet School tonight that you didn't hear in Guelph or in Sautez. So, make yourself available, everyone, to come out and listen to the facts related to why we should support the CCJ and why the CCJ would work for us in the Caribbean. We have also former president of the CCJ, Dennis Byron, Sir Dennis Byron, who would also be there on hand to discuss, and of course you have persons in the audience who have the opportunity to ask questions and make the contribution related to the CCJ. But as I said, Sheldon and Devon, I for one am confident that I'll be voting for the CCJ.
And Devon,
6th of November. There is no doubt in my mind about it.
Devon, are we not playing selfish with it, We operating like if it's election.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing out everybody with us to go on.
No more.
Yeah.
No.
If we bring out 10 election day this time, we had to bring out 20.
Yeah. And the thing is, I hear people say that shouldn't be politics, but the NDC tells people to vote no. So what is the NDC? A religious group?
No, like it's only good for them.
They all tell people to vote no. What is it? We play. No, it's political. So you have your support base. The truth of the matter is that You have to encourage your base. And somebody said it nice, on Shaggy this morning. They say, and I mean, why it should be a national thing? But I like the tweets they give. They say, watch, we can't sit down, we have to come out and vote.
Yes, can't sit down.
Yeah, we have to come out and vote, and so we cannot allow. And I said before, if you look at it, the person who was championing the cause of voting no, the last referendum, and I have no fear of saying the name was Claudia Joseph. At that time, a lot of people don't show her political affiliation. Soon after the election, what happened? Soon as the Prime Minister, or just before the election, what happened? She was a candidate for the National Democratic Congress. Devon, if you realize, years ago, so is a mind games they playing.
Oh yeah.
If you remember years ago, when the former Minister of Education, Franca Bonadin, she was in a non-political organization, championing the cause of people. When NDC won, what she was?
Minister of Education.
Yeah, Minister of Education.
You understand? You have Ray Roberts, who say he was championing the cause of the people for Command Park. Election call. He was a candidate for who? The NDC. So all these people have the political, selfish motive to promote themselves, and what is a dying body, basically. And we're saying that in the interest of the poor people, the people who cannot take the case to the Privy Council because the pocket is not deep enough. You understand? They cannot afford it. And that the CCJ is more accessible to hear your cases and so on and so on. It is justifiable that we support this is in that respect, right? Because everybody looking at the pocket, everybody concerned about you want to build a big house, but what is the first thing you're thinking about? Do I have the money? Yeah? If it's a 5-bedroom house, you could afford it. If it's a 2x4, that's why you want a good rich you build. But you have a shelter, and this is what we're looking at. I spoke to a guy in Tongue the other day, a security guy, and he said, you bring out the same issue about persons of different sexes. And I had to laugh. I said, but what that has to do with the CCJ? They tried to tie in that thing from last year into the CCJ thing, and I had to watch him and check my head.
And let's just tell them this, that if they're so concerned about that particular issue and they want to stick with the Privy Council, it's maybe because they want that. Because you could be very sure that once that particular issue goes to the Privy Council, where there may or may not be persons who are of that persuasion sitting as law lords, that you're nearly 99.9% sure that it's going to pass once that goes to the Privy Council.
But listen, even further, let's look at it carefully. You have the NDC who have performed, or they say underperformed for 4.5 years, and they say they didn't do a lot of things right. And they come back to the people last election and say, give us another chance to do it right. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel something, the whole thing is not 100% correct, why you don't say, well, let's go for it, and as we go along, we could amend, because nothing is perfect. You understand? There's always amendments, and there's always, you could review it and so forth and so on. But you cannot get something in one stage, finally, this is it. Because everything revolves. Humans revolve, governments revolve, situations revolve, and so you would have to continuously look at your constitution and amend it as you go forward. I believe if the government should put forward one of the referendum bills and say, we're proposing 2 terms for prime ministers in Grenada. I believe the NDC will come out and say no still, because the prime minister hiding something in that.
Well, let me make a point here before I forget, because in listening to the acting political leader of the NDC this morning, he made another statement that I consider to be an absolutely dunce and misleading statement as well. I'm not saying the individual is dunce, I'm saying the statement they made is dunce. That the government should go back to the drawing board and make sure that everybody is satisfied before you move forward with the referendum process.
But how you get everybody to be satisfied?
But
how
let me tell you that.
Get everybody in Grenada to be satisfied.
Everybody.
There's a play leader, you know.
Is everybody? Is everybody?
Go ahead.
Is everybody on the planet Catholic?
Tell me.
Some people do not believe in Catholicism, so they are various other religions. You have Anglicans, you have Mormons, you have Wesleyans, you have Hindus, you have even Muslims. People think it's just one. No, you have different branch of Muslims too. You have the Shiites, you have the Sunnis, and then even within the Shia and the Sunnis, you have different branches within Sunni Islam and different branches within Shiite Islam. And I mean, even you have the Adventist Church, and even within the Adventist Church, you may have different branches that have broke off years ago, and different churches. So
and then you are Rastafari.
Rastafari has so much different houses.
12 tribes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's the man that know about the Rastafari thing. There you 12 tribes and thing.
So in all of these things, you have differences. So it means that with anything that you're doing with human beings, you will never have everybody agreeing.
It can happen. It means that you're in a perfect, as husband and wife, you say you're married and you never vex, or you never disagree or nothing, and you're living happily for 50 years. I mean, I wonder what's happening.
Devon, let me ask you that now. You don't own a house, right? So you're basically renting. Right. So why every month you're paying rent for that house, and every time you come you're sleeping in your car or you're going under the house and sleep, and you're paying rent for it every day?
Well, it doesn't make sense. But it's just like if you're paying for light and you turn on the switch, is a waste of time. You have to use it.
You have to use it.
You're paying light rent
because you need it. It's not just you have to use it now, but you need it. You need it for your continuous development. That's the CCJ. You know.
But what I want to say quickly is that I consider people like Claudia that people like them have no shame.
Political amateurs.
People after you deceived people in the first place and tell them.
Paf. Call them what they are. Paf.
And political immatures.
You're so genuine about the constitution. Jumping on a political platform. And then afterwards, you're coming back again and tell us that what? I mean, I didn't even listen to half anything last time because I just watched it and shaking made. I mean, how could these people and them be so, I don't understand. You remember Devon and Sheldon that the NDC had a one-man commission. One man. Half, 3/4 of the Grenadians even know that person was looking into the areas and of the acts and wanting to bring forward a referendum. We didn't know that. One man. How much of us knew that? Compared to now, where you have discussion on all the issues, every community, on radio, on social media, people have a chance to criticize. People have a chance to give suggestions.
And I've never seen, such promotion. How much years in Grenada about a particular issue, right? We are doing what needs to be done. Yeah, a lot more can be done, but we are on the ball.
We complain about each time we take ourselves from the colonialism thing, so where we like to sit down by the Queen. Yeah. But that is just one step. Others, of course, in the future, younger generations are coming up would be able to make that decisions. But for now, we had to start it. We had to start it. You
have to lay the foundation.
I just want to encourage everybody.
All right, my brother. So we see you later. Eh? You're coming up.
I have class, but try and make it after.
All of us have class, man. We're not classless, Yeah, but I know you go.
I'm hoping by 6:30, by the time I finish, I should be up.
Yeah, I know how it goes, bro. All right, man. Bless.
Okay. What time you leaving? Where we'll talk?
Me, I'll be up there before it starts.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yes, indeed. So that's the CCJ meeting taking place at the Bonnet Government School. Somebody got to direct me to that one. I want school. I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. You're coming from St. George's, right?
Right.
Just before you enter Victoria, that bridge.
Oh, the school in the back. Okay, I know which part.
You make a right and you go in that's Bonnet.
That's over where the bridge was done and thing, and the river project was done. The school over there.
Exactly.
Okay,
it's both the primary school and the school for special education.
I've been to that school about 4 or 5 times already, man. I went there in way, and I just realized.
Good morning to all the teachers and the staff members of the Bonnet primary school and special education.
The kitchen staff.
The kitchen
especially
staff,
they
yeah.
and St. Mark Secondary.
St. Mark, good morning to all of you, and hope that you whip up the support, get persons in St. Mark's generally to come out and be a part of the CCJ discussion this evening at 6 p.m.
Yeah, they need to come on out, man. You all need to come on out
part of
and
it.
yeah, don't let people just tell all your thing and all you just take it. You understand?
Watch, we're going to show them. You see how we show them in March, from March 13th, right? We can do what needs to be done. We will show them that we will not sit down. We will not take it lightly, right? But we will go out there and put Grenada into, right, that final court of appeal in the CCJ. It is very important for us to continue.
Before you run out of time, let me say a special good morning to the staff at Paddy's Enterprises out there in Carriacou. Good morning to you, Serrana, and Richard, and Carol, and Corona, and Doreen, and Agnes, and Dion, and Sybil, and Ramella, and Delroy, and Teron, and Andrew, and Sherlin, and Winston. The entire staff out there. Anybody just joined the staff? Good morning
to
you too.
Carol, good morning to you, my dear. I haven't spoken to you in a while.
Because there's a very high possibility I'll have to be in Carriacou on Friday.
Okay.
And extremely, Friday is the day.
Friday is the day. Okay.
Yeah, so it's either I'll be in Carriacou from Thursday or I'll be in Carriacou from Friday, but one or the other.
Yeah, because Thursday is an holiday too, so.
Yeah, Thursday is a holiday, so.
Okay, so we'll discuss that.
Yeah,
so,
we'll discuss.
Yeah. So we don't want to make sure, we don't want to know that we be in Carriacou and then you have persons coming and want to think, you know. So good morning again to every one of you at Paddy's Enterprise. All right, good morning to you and to all the citizens, the countrymen, my fellow countrymen of Carriacou and PD Martin. Good morning to all of you. And we hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, we hope that the weather is treating you right and everything like that. We know you had a little bit, some showers and some, fallen trees and so. And you had your leader, your parliamentary representative, Miss Matthew and Stewart, right, out there. Boots.
The staff down there at Bullins, the staff down there at the jerk pit. The jerk pit there where there's going to get food and they're trying to remember the proper name. But even bigger, the staff at Wayne's Garage.
Yep.
Yeah, Wayne's Garage. So all you know, all you had to keep something there for me. All you know what I'm passing for on Friday.
Yeah, Wayne's Garage and the restaurant right on the side of it again. What's its name?
That's what I'm trying to remember. The jerk pit there. I'm trying to remember the proper name.
Good morning, Sasha. The lady Kasha right there. Sasha. Good morning to you, my dear.
Jam Dong, the Jamaican.
The Jamaican specialist right there. Right. Just ask her what you want.
Hey, as I said that, let me say a special good morning to the next Jam Dong, my good partner there in Granans Valley. Always listens to the program every single day. He listens to the program and so you get your juke chicken and thing by that man.
Like that.
Bad on that. All right? Nice. Yeah, we had to say that. But you know something? But I keep hearing NDC speaking about the bill. I don't know if they want to pay it, but they keep asking about the bill. Anyway, but
but they have money too, so they go pay the bill.
But here's this. Don't you might be very surprised. Very surprised.
I take that one back. I might be very, very surprised.
Yeah, but there are some people inside. Anyhow. But this is the thing, One, I'm a member of the CCJ Advisory Committee. Yeah? And I could tell you that a particular person that's speaking and saying, one, that they wasn't invited and then they had to change the thing. One, that person was invited. If I see that person to one meeting, I've seen them to a lot. If I've seen that one person from the NDC to one meeting, I've seen them to a lot. Then they just don't appear, they don't come, they don't think. And that's one of the people that are coming out now and talking out against this thing the most. They had the opportunity to see the bill months ago. When the bill was initially put together, before it was laid in Parliament, when it was drafted, it was sent to the NDC for comments. And that would have been earlier this year. So for them to come and do now, like the bill has so much faults in it now, that the entire process should be held back, is not an indictment on the government. It's not an indictment on the drafting unit in the Ministry of Legal Affairs. It's not an indictment on any organization, but the NDC themselves, because they had the opportunity since earlier this year.
They're just spiteful.
They're talking about everybody should get everything they want. everybody in Grenada will never get everything they want on anything. Yeah, that is the reason we have a multiplicity of political parties.
Exactly.
That is why you have the NNP and you have the NDC, and then you have a set of parties who name even bound to mention because the lotto numbers it does get. But anyhow, so you have those.
And just now NDC go be one of them.
Yeah, you have
Keep
those.
on like that.
There's already get lotto numbers in some polling divisions as you look at it. But that is why human nature is one where everyone is created different. We don't always agree on everything. Me and Devon in studio here, we don't always agree on everything.
You can't. None
And
of
you
us is yes,
and the thing difference with me and Devon is we doesn't hide and turn off the microphone and say we don't agree with that.
You just hear us.
Devon does say thing and he said that is that, and I say I do agree, or I say something, he say nah, I ain't agree with you on that one. Because that is human nature. And you have to learn, if you have to be a leader, if you have to become the leader of a country or the leader of an organization or the leader of everything, you have to understand that there are converging views, people with opposing views that come to a convergence within organizations, within countries, and within different things. So to make a dunce statement, as the acting political leader of the NDC made this morning, that how everybody, you have to make sure that you please everybody before you go, then we'll never go to constitutional reform. You'll never go to constitutional reform because you will never please everyone. It shows, number one, that he doesn't understand leadership. Definitely. Or that he's just being disingenuous with the Grenadian people.
I think a bit of both, eh?
Yeah, it shows clearly that he doesn't understand leadership. Because leadership means that you understand that people have different views. You may not agree with it, but they will have different views. And that is what is happening right now. Yeah. People have different views. They would like to see various changes to the electoral system. But the changes that they are speaking about have nothing to do with the referendum. Nothing to do with the referendum. The changes that they are recommending, some of them, as Sir Lawrence pointed out last night, one of them is even unconstitutional. They're trying to block a person from voting and so on. I hear them speaking about, I hear this nonsense about people who are citizenship by investment voting. People who are citizens by investment, according to the Citizenship by Investment Act, cannot register to vote and cannot vote.
Nope.
That's the law. That's how it is.
And they know that, you know.
And they know that because it passed there when their former political leader, Nazim Burke, was there. Although, you know, they hardly used to spend time in Parliament. They was preparing to be outside of Parliament. Yep. So him, Franca, and Vince
we told them that. We told them that.
They was practicing how not to be in Parliament right now. I doubt they've ever even entered the new Parliament building. I'm very doubtful they've even ever entered the new Parliament building because they're so embarrassed. But we told them that is what was going to happen. So, I mean, I said
that's the most sensible thing they ever did. They listened to us, eh?
Yeah.
Those three in particular, they did. With Robert Stick in front. Right? And
am I so easy to forget? Tell me cuando.
And somebody put up NDC, New Deception Company. Yeah, so much companies popping up in this.
Folks, whether you're a member of the NDC, whether you're a member of the New National Party, the opportunity on November 6th is there for you to make a decision that can positively affect your lives and the lives of your children and your children's children for years to come. We would not like to end up in a situation where mommy and daddy keep telling us come out the house and we refuse to come out until they just decide one day we go to Lime and we come home and meet, we close outside. Yeah, you don't want to end up in that situation. Mommy and daddy take your clothes, they put it outside and they change the locks on the door. So you cannot enter. Because that day is coming. Sooner rather than later. Look at the trends that's happening in the United Kingdom right now when it comes to Brexit, when it comes to Windrush, when it comes to issues involving us in the Caribbean. What's the last time you even see a British warship pass through this side?
Ooh, a long time.
Chinese send hospital ship twice in 10 years. You don't even see British warship passing through this side and say, well, they're coming and help with this or that and that kind of thing. Yeah? We have nothing against the British people.
No.
Apart from reparations, we had to talk about one day.
We need to talk about one day.
Talk about reparations.
We need to.
Really?
Rastafari.
Yeah, we had to talk about reparations one day.
Emancipate yourselves from out of slavery.
Right. But at the end of the day, you're telling me that we should stick with them? Nah, something had to be definitely wrong with...
Yeah.
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt to think that you have a thought process, to say that something must be wrong with your thought process. If you're coming to tell me that with a straight face, yeah? To honestly say that. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here. My name is Sheldon Scott.
I'm Devon Romain.
And that's all the time we have on Hard Talk for today. I'd like to thank all the stations, all the listeners, all the callers, all of you that have been online with us for the day today. Tomorrow we'll be... tomorrow morning, though, we will be bringing the post-cabinet press briefing. We're not sure how long it'll go for, but we'll be around just in case it goes for just an hour or so. We'll be in studio to be able to speak after that. The minister up to bat tomorrow is none other than Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. He is up to bat for post-cabinet press briefing tomorrow, so we'll be starting at 10. Prime Minister will be live on television, radio, etc., etc. So we will be broadcasting live via our network, and you will be able to see it as well on GIS channel, on YouTube, on the Hard Talk YouTube link, and all of that. All right. Thank you so very much. We are out of here, and everything you say and do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
We are out of here.
Peace out.
Regional leaders discuss future of LIAT in St. Vincent. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for today, Monday, October 22nd, I am Rikisha St. Louis. The future of regional airline LIAT is under the microscope. Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and representatives of other shareholder governments and stakeholders met in St. Vincent on Monday to discuss a number of options intended to secure the future viability of the regional carrier. Prior to his departure, Dr. Mitchell said the meeting could be a defining moment for the future of LIAT as they discussed the varying roles of shareholder governments, stakeholders, and the private sector. He added that the underlying premise of the discussions is that the traveling public must be better served and intra-regional travel encouraged. While in St. Vincent, Dr. Mitchell will also attend the 66th meeting of the OECS Authority, which is scheduled for Tuesday, October 23rd. Agenda items for the meeting include a presentation on climate-smart and investment-ready opportunities for the OECS, establishment of diplomatic presence in Canada, OECS membership in the Inter-American Development Bank, and the establishment of a fourth university of the West Indies campus in Antigua and Barbuda, and the implications for OECS member states. Minister with responsibility for disaster management and information, Senator Winston Garwe, says Grenada stands ready to assist neighboring Trinidad and Tobago, which has been severely affected by flooding and heavy rains over the last few days. As many as 150,000 persons were affected by the flooding in Trinidad and about 800 evacuated, while about 300 in emergency shelters. He said SEDIMA has been in contact with the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management in Trinidad to determine the full extent of damage as a result of flooding. But up to Monday morning, there were no requests for external assessment from Trinidad.
We, at this point, from a Grenada perspective, are looking at ways how we can assist. Prime Minister Mitchell would have reached out to Prime Minister Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago to express his sadness as a result of the flooding. And we stand ready. Should there be a request for specific assistance, to call on the nation to assist in this regard. But at this point in time, as I said, as of 10 a.m. this morning, there were no requests for assistance outside of Trinidad and Tobago. The coordinating unit of SEDIMA will continue to interact with the Office of Disaster Preparedness, and they will provide update to us at NADMA.
Touching on Sister Isle Carriacou, Senator Garwe says they are ready to assist residents there as well.
Some six communities were impacted from the heavy rains over the weekend in Carriacou and Peter Martinique. They have made some requests, that is the disaster office in Carriacou, for assistance from the main office. We have prepared the supplies and looking forward to assisting our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
And in a message of solidarity to the neighboring Twin Island Republic, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell said, and I quote, "Our thoughts and prayer are with our brothers and sisters in Trinidad as they find ways to cope with the devastating impact of flooding there over the last few days. The images we have seen provide vivid evidence of the extensive flooding that has rendered some roads impassable and left many persons stranded," unquote. Meanwhile, over on the Sister Isle, Minister for Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, Honorable Kendra Mathurin Stewart, is assisting residents of areas affected by heavy rains over the weekend. That improvement of the drainage and road network around the island will recommence very soon, especially in low-lying areas that are prone to flooding. The heavy rains resulted in a collapsed retaining wall along the Mount Pleasant Road and a fallen tree across the Prospect Hall Main Road. Minister Mathurin Stewart organized a brigade to immediately address the challenges and was joined by the Public Works Department and the staff of the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, NADMA, and the Northern District of the Royal Grenada Police Force. A visit was also paid to residents around the island who were affected by flooding.
We had rains for the last 3 or so days, and I'm just visiting and touring the affected areas. We've had numerous reports of flooding, especially in low-lying areas. This is one area that we've experienced flooding by residents in the area. So it's essentially visiting, and we're visiting with a team of members of the Public Works Division to be able to assess, of course, the damage that might have occurred as a result of the flooding in this and other areas. So we have visited throughout the length and breadth of Carriacou. Information so far reached us that nothing much has happened in Petit Martinique, and we're grateful and thankful for that. But we've had numerous reports of land slippage, fallen trees, and flooded areas, and we are here just to observe and, of course, to take note to offer some sort of relief in the coming days.
The local NADMA office, in response to the Carriacou assessed needs, has provided some support to the staff of NADMA Carriacou to help with their continued response efforts. NADMA's contribution includes sleeping bags, wheelbarrows, spade, shovels, safety vests, rubber boots, and raincoats. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then said the story here, babe. Crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself. Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. 4 health facilities on mainland and in Carriacou are earmarked to be retrofitted under the Smart Healthcare Project. That announcement was made at the recent commissioning of the island's first smart hospital, the Princess Alice Hospital at Maribo in St. Andrew. Grenada has taken several steps towards making each of its sectors more resilient. The country just wrapped up a 2-day global conference on health and climate change, which brought regional health leaders together to formulate an action plan to deal with climate change and its adverse effects, especially on health. Among the 4 facilities listed is the Richmond Hill Home for the Elderly.
We have planned, we're completing the design stage of 4 other facilities that will commence retrofitting in 2019. This is the Princess Royal Hospital and the Hillsborough Health Centre in Carriacou, the Richmond Home for the Elderly, and the Central Medical Stores. So look out for those.
That was PAHO consultant Shalini Jagnarine. Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele announced that every health facility has been assessed to be retrofitted under the SMART project. He said the aim is to make healthcare more affordable and accessible to all.
Throughout the SMART healthcare project, every healthcare facility in Grenada has been assessed using the HSI and Green checklist. Let me repeat that for emphasis and gratitude to those who assisted. Every healthcare facility in Grenada has been assessed. There is therefore a repository of data to guide infrastructure development and collaboration with key stakeholders, which should augur well as we seek to optimize resources available, scarce resources available, valuable resources available, to ensure that healthcare remains accessible and affordable to all of our citizens.
That story just brought the curtains down on the national report for today, Monday, October 22nd. Let's recap the top story. Regional leaders discuss future of LIAT in St. Vincent. On behalf of all those who made this newscast possible, I'm Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for viewing. Until next time.
You know my stance, and you know I'm a principled person. I have stated very, very clearly that the CCJ is the way to go, and it is inevitable. Look, now people could have reservation, and you have a right to. That's your business. But at the end of it all, we would have to handle our own affairs here in the Caribbean. We would have to have our own system, and I am simply saying the time is now. The time is here for us to do so. And look, we can have disagreements. We can look. I've stated on the program my position, and there are people who say straight up, Kem, I don't agree with your position, and they challenge and they say certain things, and I respect that. We should have a healthy debating going forward. Tomorrow we will have Joseph Roberts or some of his acquaintances or some of his colleagues to come in and speak about the CCJ, and you have the opportunity to ask a number of questions the same way. But I am telling you folks, you have listened to me many a years. I am confident that the CCJ is the way to go. It may not be perfect, and nothing in life is perfect. Nothing in life except God himself. But I am simply saying this is something that you need to look at. Give it a try. Look at it. Listen to the both arguments. I am convinced that the CCJ is better for this region than the Privy Council at this point in time. And I am saying it will be better for many, many years to come. So I am simply asking of you to vote yes for the CCJ.
The National Democratic Congress is not and has never been opposed to the CCJ. In fact, previous administrations led by the NDC have done lots of work to push forward the work of the CCJ, and that can be attested to by Brother Peter David. The CCJ is another step towards the achievement of Caribbean unity. And in the NDC, we know that eventually, one way or the other, the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction will become a reality, not only in Grenada, but throughout the Caribbean.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about me, this is about all of you and all of us. But I want to say one thing before we start. In 1979, a number of our young people did something that reverberated around the world. Something that it may not have lasted forever, but has. In a world of no cell phone and no internet and no fax machine or nothing like that, has established institutions that today we are very proud of. MNIB, National Insurance Board, and the airport. You know, we should have been the first one signing on to the CCJ. We should have been. I don't know what happened, but given that given what we did then, we should have been the first. So keep that in the back of your minds with those of you who have all the excuses in the world as to why we shouldn't do it.
Grenada is about to embark on another historic mission of amending its constitution for the first time since its independence. From all indication, the push is for the changes to be made before the end of the year, 2 years after the first attempt failed.
We believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved. And hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward, because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass. And I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. But I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction. And it would be, to me, almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country.
2 years ago, 8 bills were tabled for constitution change. But this time around, the focus is on one which, if successful, will see the Caribbean Court of Justice replacing the London Privy Council as the final court of appeal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who was re-elected to office by a landslide victory on March 13, 2018, says he intends to play an active role this time around.
And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now part, the countries that are now part of the CCJ, are getting decisions based on the govern those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I will play a much more active role this time than I did the last time.
The bill seeking the constitutional change is already out. It's called the Constitution of Grenada Caribbean Court of Justice and Other Justice-Related Matters Amendment Bill 2018, one of the 8 attempted 2 years ago. It includes almost everything in the 2016 bill, but removed are the sections that speak about the code of conduct for public officials and the swearing allegiance to the country. Debate has continued over the years about doing away with the Privy Council and replacing it with the Caribbean Court of Justice system, the CCJ. The Privy Council in London and the CCJ based in Trinidad are both a final court of appeal that retries civil and criminal cases if the original ruling is thought not to be satisfactory. But proponents argue that the CCJ, formed and operated by the Caribbean people, would allow for a sense of independence and would make access to a fair trial much easier.
The arguments in favor of independence, the CCJ being an independent court, and in fact, the CCJ being one of the most independent courts in terms of structure and appointment of judges, not just in the region, but it is used as a model for other courts, particularly in relation to financing and in relation to the selection of judges. And that ultimately is the test.
There have been some recurring points of concerns about the idea of the CCJ as Grenada's final court of appeal, access, cost, and the likelihood of political interference.
What the CCJ has done and what has been approved with respect to the CCJ is the setting up of this independent trust fund that is managed by a board of trustees. And what is important about that board of trustees and the composition of that board of trustees is that you have no politicians at all on that board.
Former Minister of Legal Affairs Elvin Nimrod tabled the bill in Parliament in 2016. Newly appointed Minister of Legal Affairs, Honorable Kindra Maturin-Stewart, says the implementation of the CCJ to Grenada will enhance the judiciary system of the trial and state.
For Grenada to have access to the CCJ as its final appellate court, that would mean for us here in Grenada that our people would have greater access to justice. As you know, with the Privy Council, persons had to travel far to England to access the Privy Council. But of course, the CCJ is right next door, and I believe, of course, with its location and its ease of access, that locals, ordinary people like me and you, would be able to have access to justice.
The Legal Affairs Minister says she believes there are competent experts here that are capable to execute the process.
I believe that we in the Caribbean are capable of creating and making our own jurisprudence. We don't have to depend on English judges and English folks to make jurisprudence for us. And I believe that we are well capable. We've had notable jurists and persons coming out or emanating from the Caribbean, CARICOM. And I believe that we possess that talent, we possess that experiences, and I believe that we are well poised to create our own jurisprudence. That in its sense alone too would basically signal, of course, a greater independence for us as an independent nation of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
In October of 2016, the Grenada Constitution reform was held, where citizens took to the polls to cast their ballots for or against the implementation of the CCJ as the final appellate court. Constitution reform process then was denied based on the outcome of the votes. Although CARICOM created the CCJ as a replacement for the Privy Council, it did not fully replicate the British system. Instead, it chose to copy certain practices while creating other divergent ones. Residents here say while they are willing to accept the change, there must be proper consultation on the subject.
Public education, and my first observation is that there are too many lessons, or if not lessons, too many chapters, or if not chapters, too many books to be learned within that space of time. The bills, the issues for the referendum, they are significant enough and far-reaching to have what I refer to as a limited time.
That of the CCJ, which country like Trinidad, Barbados, country which implemented that CCJ and they are ineffective already, they still go to the Privy Council for hearing in the jurisdiction. So we go into the CCJ now. We are neglecting the Privy Council and go to the CCJ. And them countries which are still implementing the CCJ, the Privy Council for a hearing. So how that go be looked when we neglect the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, and them countries which implemented the CCJ are still under the Privy Council.
During the swearing-in ceremony, after winning all 15 seats at the 2018 general election, Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell reassured the nation that consultation and education on the process will soon resume.
As each of us seeks to protect and save our children, we must look out also for our neighbors' children and to the broader issue of justice. And as it is also related to our independence and to our national identity, we must open up a dialogue again about joining the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Get up! It's time to vote for Caribbean Court of Justice. Man are ready to vote. The people ready to vote. I said they're ready to vote. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. My people, remember, November the 6th, Caribbean Court of Justice is the best choice. Vote yes, the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Reaching one unity, coming together as one. Hear what we say. When you see November 6th, we voting against the CCJ. Come out and make the right decision. It benefits in everybody. The Caribbean Court of Justice is what I come to promote. So when that time we just stick, make sure you go out and vote, believe it. Let us get it right. I say everything at the fix. One Caribbean, one community. CCJ, yes, they have the remedy. For the CCJ. November 6th, every Caribbean island I calling out one and all. For the CCJ, yeah. Yes, for the CCJ, that's it. Vote yes for the CCJ,
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.